Hello, my friend. We continue to sail towards a successful business. In this video, we'll talk about the blue ocean strategy, and in just a few minutes, you will find out. What is this strategy and the history of its emergence? Scarlet and blue oceans of business? How to find a free niche in the market? Examples of companies created with a blue ocean strategy? What difficulties might you encounter when applying the strategy? And at the end, I will tell you about my personal story of the creation of the blue ocean, and we will sort it out together. The only way to beat the competition is to stop trying to win, Chan Kim and Renee Mauborgne. We often talk about finding a less filled niche, researching competitors and opportunities to beat them. What about creating a new market where there are no competitors? What kind of strategy is this? The essence of the blue ocean strategy is not to compete with other players in existing markets, but to create or find a new market where there are no rules or competitors yet. This strategy was first mentioned in a number of articles in the Harvard Business Review. The authors of the works doubted that constant competition was the best way for business development. Researchers were inclined to believe that competition narrows opportunities. Everyone is trying to develop a competitor's idea rather than looking for new ways to develop the product. In their opinion, every business should look for a way to differentiate itself from the rest. Among all these breakthrough papers was the work of researchers Chan Kim and Renee Mauborgne. In 2005, based on all the articles and their own developments, they published the book Blue Ocean Strategy. Later, in 2015, the book was updated with new information and republished. She created a real sensation all over the world. The book has a worldwide circulation of more than 3.6 million copies in 44 languages. Why has this strategy become so popular? By the 2000s, the market in Europe and America, and many other countries, was developing in conditions of fierce competition. And the idea of creating a non-competitive business was very attractive. Chan Kim and Renee Mauborgne divided the market into two parts, red oceans and blue oceans. Why such fancy names? In red oceans, companies are trying to take over most of the existing demand. Over time, the market becomes tighter and ruthless. Competitors have to figuratively kill each other, flooding the ocean with blood. With the advent of a new competitor, the water becomes increasingly red. Blue oceans represent untapped areas of the market and require creativity. It is worth saying that many blue oceans arise within red oceans. They push existing industry boundaries and set new rules on them. Let's consider a small comparison of scarlet and blue oceans for clarity. To demonstrate the idea of a blue ocean, the authors of the book use the circus industry as an example, namely Cirque du Soleil. At the time of the appearance of Du Soleil, the circus was associated primarily with the round arena, animals and clowns, who were more likely to scare than to make people laugh. But the company did not follow the beaten path and did not use classic elements. She chose a vector of incredible acrobatics, colorful costumes, and conceptual performances. They revolutionized the very idea of the circus. What are the ways to create a blue ocean? The manufacturer has several ways to find the blue ocean. The first is to identify alternative industries. In essence, competitors are not only organizations that offer almost exactly the same product as yours, but also products from different areas. For example, trains, planes, and buses. These are different industries. Some fly, while others ride on the ground. But if you look more broadly, in the tourism business, these are direct competitors. They battle on price, comfort, and ride speed. Airplanes seem to be faster and more comfortable, which is why most travelers choose them. However, in reality, there are people with aerophobia who are romantics of bus and car travel. Second way, choose another strategic group. Products may vary in price and thereby fill different market niches. Let's take bags as an example. There are high quality but inexpensive bags for $50, $100. There are branded bags for a couple of hundred, and there are branded vintage bags that collectors chase and are willing to spend a lot of money on. Each product does not directly compete with each other, since their buyers are completely different people with different values and needs. It is possible to create demand in a different price niche where it seems impossible to do so. Another example. About 30 years ago, ordinary single-ply toilet paper was in use. And so, we came to more expensive 3-layer, 4-layer paper with different flavors, which initially worked within the framework of the blue ocean and later became Scarlet. Third, this is to pay attention to who exactly is buying the product. Here, we are talking about strong audience segmentation, when a product is filled with new functions and capabilities and makes them more convenient for a specific narrow target group. Here, we can also talk about studying the product purchase chain and the impact on the purchase. For example, it is more logical to sell children's toys and snacks through parents since they have money. However, some manufacturers focus on bright packaging to attract children, who in turn will beg their parents for the product. Fourth, this is to develop additional services and products. Not only the product itself and its price are important, but also the service that the seller offers. This service may be paid, but the ability to order it along with the product is important. For example, hotels may offer airport transfer services, or you can drink coffee in cosmetic stores. Hosting providers offer antiviruses and additional protection against DOS attacks. Fifth way, add features or emotions. Companies use rational or emotional arguments to promote a product. If your competitors emphasize functionality, do the opposite. Start promoting based on the emotions that the consumer can receive. For example, there is a similar stratification among drinks. We can say that the juice is natural, without sugar, and has a long shelf life. Or you can show a happy family at the table drinking juice. The same thing works the other way around. If most competitors rely on emotional arguments, offer consumers rational arguments. And sixth, the most difficult. This is trying to foresee the future. Try to analyze people's future needs and offer them a solution before the problem arises. How to find a free niche in the market? As we've already said, you don't have to come up with a completely new product industry to get into the blue ocean. Most often, manufacturers are looking for how to expand the boundaries of the red ocean, looking for ways to break out of the carnage with competitors. It is important to come up with not a material innovation, but a value innovation. Steps to creating a blue ocean. Step 1. Determine the feasibility of moving to a new world. The red ocean can also be full of earning opportunities. A blue ocean may require too many investments that will not pay off for a long time. Therefore, first of all, evaluate the prospects in a potential new market and your own product. Answer the questions. 1. How exceptional is my product? 2. Do your resources allow you to create conditions for production and cost reduction? 3. Can you quickly respond to feedback on a new product and quickly improve it? If you have even the slightest doubt about one of the points, wait a while before going on an endless voyage. Step 2. Product and market analysis. We will never stop repeating how important it is to analyze yourself and your competitors. It is especially important to do this when going out into the blue ocean. If you have multiple products, figure out which has the best chance of finding a new market. If there is only one product, identify its growth points and opportunities for improving the product or ideas for its promotion. Step 3. Expanding boundaries or opening a new market. Now that you know everything about your product and competitors, you need to decide whether you will take a radical path and create a completely new product technology, or focus on a unique positioning and slightly expand the boundaries of the existing market. Or maybe you try to sell your product to people who were not considered your target audience. Step 4. Calculate costs and desired results. If at the first step you are only supposed to have a slight idea of the profitability of a new product, now you should seriously turn to the numbers. Calculate how much you need to invest in the development of a new product and choose one of the pricing strategies that will cover your costs. You can choose one of two ways. 1. Sell a lot at the lowest possible price. 2. Set a high price but sell less. Despite the fact that there are no competitors in the blue ocean and you don't have to rely on the price of others, there are still customers who also set the rules. Also, as part of this step, establish a precise framework for assessing the effectiveness of your activities. For example, you want to recoup the costs of creating a new product in 1 year. The payback period for a product is individual for each business. After these steps, you can begin serious actions. Change production, build detailed marketing promotion strategies, look for suppliers, etc. It's easier to look at real examples of companies created according to the blue ocean strategy. Phillips drew attention to the problem of scale that forms in the kettle. From the kettle, scale fell into cups of aromatic tea and floated around in flakes. It's unpleasant, but quite recently this was the norm. Manufacturers blamed the water supply. Phillips decided to influence this problem for its part and added a filter to its kettles that collected scale and prevented it from getting into the drink. Consumers appreciated this innovation. The idea is simple, but for a certain time, Phillips became the only supplier of such devices. Dove has noticed that people are forced to spend extra money on moisturizers. Traditionally, the soap market is focused on people's hygiene needs, an emphasis on getting rid of dirt and germs. Dove proposed combining the functions of cleansing and care and created a new product, soap with a care function. Until now, the company's positioning has not changed, although other organizations have begun to produce similar soap. The Ford Model T. The Model T Ford, released in 1908, was a classic example of a blue ocean strategy tool. The company called into question the long-standing traditions of the US automotive industry formed in those years. US automakers at the time created custom cars. Despite the large number of businesses, the industry was small and unattractive, and cars were unreliable and prohibitively expensive. The average cost of a car was twice the average annual family income. Henry Ford changed the situation with one model, the Ford T. It was a reliable, durable, and inexpensive model that most Americans could buy. In 1908, the first Model T Ford cost $850, which was already half the price of other brands. In 1909, its price dropped to $609, by 1924 to $240. The company's success is due to its profitable business model. By creating a standardized model line with limited capabilities and interchangeable parts, Henry Ford's revolutionary assembly line replaced skilled craftsmen with ordinary unskilled workers, each working on one small task, making production faster and more efficient. By cutting labor costs by 60%, Ford was able to lower prices even further, making the car affordable for everyone. Sales of the Ford T were incredible. The company's share of the automobile market grew from 9% in 1908 to 61% in 1921. So great was Henry Ford's blue ocean that the Ford T replaced the horse-drawn carriage as the dominant vehicle in the United States. iTunes. With the launch of iTunes, Apple opened up a blue ocean of new market space in digital music that it has dominated for over a decade. Since the 1990s, the music industry has been actively fighting against illegal music downloads. Thanks to agreements with 5 major music companies, BMG, EMI Group, Sony, Universal Music Group, and Warner Brothers Records, iTunes offered users a legal and easy-to-use way to download songs. A major strategic decision, allowing people to buy individual songs, allowed iTunes to break a key customer irritation factor, having to buy an entire CD when they only wanted 1 or 2 songs on it. iTunes is a free music download service thanks to high sound quality, intuitive navigation, and easy search. The unprecedented value that iTunes has offered to customers around the world has combined to benefit record labels and artists who receive approximately 70% of the cost of downloading a song. In addition, Apple provided copyright protection that did not inconvenience users but satisfied the music industry. Today, iTunes offers more than 37 million songs, as well as movies, TV shows, books, and podcasts. More than 25 billion songs have already been sold, and the average download speed is 15,000 songs per minute. iTunes currently accounts for more than 60% of the global digital music download market. Polo Ralph Lauren. American fashion designer Ralph Lauren created a blue ocean in the high fashion industry by understanding the factors that influence purchasing decisions, allowing him to appeal to two strategic consumer groups. High fashion without fashion, elegant shops, exquisite materials, and the famous name of the designer attract true connoisseurs of haute couture. At the same time, classic lines and prices attract buyers from stores such as Brooks Brothers and Burberry. By combining the advantages of both categories and eliminating inefficiencies, Ralph Lauren captured share in both segments, further attracting a large number of other customers. What difficulties might you encounter when applying the strategy? You need to overcome your stereotypical thinking. Businessmen are getting used to the rules of the Scarlet market, and to create new laws, you need to completely forget the old ones. This may not be easy. We recommend paying attention to market and audience research. Dig deep into people's needs. Only with more data will you be able to see new opportunities. Also, don't forget about creativity. Creating a blue market is an art in the business world. Discuss your craziest ideas with your colleagues. Often, what seems unreal becomes commonplace in the future. Think about it. Just a couple of decades ago, no one would have thought that a stranger could go to the store for you and bring all the products on the list. You need to prove to people that they really need your product. In addition to your stereotypical thinking, you must overcome the thinking of your customers. There are 2 points here. The consumer himself may not understand that he needed your product. People may also be wary of new things. The consumer is also accustomed to competition between companies, accustomed to comparing. It seems to them that if there are no competitors, then the business is unprofitable and the organization makes money from deception. Remember the rise of cryptocurrency. This market was slow to move due to consumers' fear of being deceived. The term blue oceans is quite new, but the same cannot be said about the technology itself. A couple of hundred years ago, new products appeared, such as automobile manufacturing, sound recording, aviation, and oil refining. The new industries had no analogues. Nowadays, new markets and professions are also emerging. Cell phones, investment funds, biotechnology, neuromarketing, courier food delivery. And that's not all. A new market can be found in our time. You just need to think and set up production. And now I will tell you, the most attentive viewer, my personal story, about attempt to create such a market, and also the difficulties I faced. At the end of 2020, a very interesting idea came to me. Make a New Year's gift set for children in the form of a soft toy, so that there are sweets and other smaller toys inside. I was inspired by Kinder Surprise. Having made the first couple of unsuccessful layouts, I still achieved an acceptable result, which was in full presentation. Inside the set, in the form of a snowman toy, were hidden many goodies and other smaller toys. My crafts looked quite funny. Without bothering too much, I hastened to put them up for sale. Proudly announced his invention to his acquaintances and friends. I made a mini site, a trading page on Facebook, set up advertising, and began to wait for orders. There was definitely interest from clients. I received a lot of calls and messages, but there were very few orders. I was tired of explaining to people. Although the website had a complete description of what was inside and how to use it. The wrapper was quite attractive to them, but it was difficult for a person to decide to buy. He doesn't know what to expect. This is an incomprehensible new thing. What if it's a hoax or something else? The buyer was tormented by doubts due to the insufficient presence of the product in the market familiar to him. Although there was also a desire to surprise my child with something new. This is the classic blue oceans problem. The ocean creator must have enough strength to introduce the product or service to the customer. To wait until the client understands the value or uniqueness of the product. I didn't have this strength. The plans were to develop this direction, creative gift workshop with online store. The niche is quite promising because people always need gifts, birthdays, anniversaries, weddings and the like. Also, with a certain creative approach, you can make original packaging or gift sets for both adult men and women. In my case, at the beginning, it was necessary to look for a wholesale buyer, some organization or company that would purchase a lot of products at once for its employees, or something like that. This would give the soil something to last longer, while the client gets acquainted with new products that he does not understand. Further develop your production and range. Here are the main pitfalls that are found in blue oceans. Their creators often sacrifice something or take too many risks, but they avoid competition and find themselves at the forefront of their niche. So, if my idea is interesting, take it and go for it. I will not be offended, then don't forget to report back and I'll be happy to make a video about it. Good luck, bro! Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you!